Hey, what's up everyone, and what are we betting today? It is my last day without gambling for quite a while. Ooh, the lights came back on with the perfect timing. I can turn this one off. Okay, so it's gonna be my last day without gambling for a while because tomorrow is the Wynn 1600. This weekend there'll be a whole bunch of online poker, and then next week is the lead up to March Madness, which is like the gambling weekend here in Las Vegas. Whew, man, those are bright. Let's see if we can get somewhere where it's not quite so intense. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Okay, so next week in Las Vegas, starting with this Sunday and the sort of like teens announcement, next week is one of the biggest gambling weeks of the year with March Madness here in Las Vegas. It brings a lot of action to town. It brings gamblers from all over the country, all over the world. People love to bet on basketball, and especially this college basketball tournament. And it's really funny to me that the United States has always had this sort of like stigma and illegality surrounding gambling, but every year, and especially with college kids, okay, we can't pay the college kids, can't pay those kids, can't let gambling corrupt the kids. But every year we come together and all gamble at our places of work on the performance of these kids in the tournament. I love it. And I just hope that we get increasingly legal gambling in the future. Now we're starting to see some progress. I mean, like West Virginia, I think just passed a bill or is going to pass a bill. They're resubmitting the bill a similar bill that the governor in Michigan vetoed to stop gambling or online gambling from taking place there. So a number of states are going to start to come online. Pretty soon Pennsylvania is going to start to come online. There was this really frustrating reinterpretation of the Wire Act that came out of the Department of Justice recently, and there is a lot of suspicion there that Sheldon Adelson may have had some influence about that decision because he's always been such an opponent of online gambling. And so it's launching into this really big, long, bogged down investigation as to whether we are going to see that Wire Act interpretation or reinterpretation affect things. Now, how could that affect things for us poker players? Well, give you an example. The World Series of Poker wants to run bracelet events on WorldSeries.com online site this summer, and now they are not certain, because the enforcement date is going to be in June, whether they can run events that share the player pools between Nevada and New Jersey. So that is the kind of immediate consequences that we are facing. Now here with the World Poker Tour, today we are just filming our last final table. Yesterday we had I don't even know how to express it, guys. It was such a crazy, weird final table. The chip leader, Frank Stepchin, came in with about half the chips in play, maybe slightly less. He likes to drink, to eat on the table, to talk, to sing, to literally get up and dance. Every time somebody was all in against them, he would get up and give them a hug. So Frank was a guy who was really enjoying the moment. And he was surrounded by mostly professional and experienced poker players who, you know, took it pretty seriously, but also did their best to enjoy this experience with Frank and the fact that he was kind of making a spectacle in a good way out of it. And they all brought massive crowds. I have to admit, I have been pleasantly surprised at how well having the final tables has worked at the East-West Arena in terms of bringing people's friends and families in. At first, when we changed over to doing the final tables here as opposed to at the casinos where we were playing the tournament, I thought, oh man, you know, a lot of these people are kind of like hometown heroes in their poker communities. We are going to miss out on their friends just, you know, driving down the road or their cousin driving down the road to come see them at the final table and sweat them. But as it turns out, with a month to plan things, you know, people are bringing out all parts of their friends, family, and peer group to sweat them at this final table and, you know, put out shirts. You know, a lot of these guys are piecing themselves out. They have a little time to actually sell action leading up to the final table if they want to go about things that way, or to try and find like a patch sponsor or something like that. So far the energy in the room has been awesome during the final tables, and I will admit that, you know, when I first heard about us changing over here, I thought it really might not work in that regard. So far so good. Yesterday was a nice early finish. Tonight it sounds like is going to be a very, very long final table. This is the Borgata WPT that wrapped up in the winter. I want to say it was the Winter Poker Open, and they have a lot of chips at the table, and it's not quite as an aggressive array of players as we had last night. So I would think we were going to have a good 9-10 hour filming session in front of us once we actually get cards in the air. But tomorrow I'm back in the action at the Wynn. and I can't wait for that. I've been so hungry for poker the last few days because I've just been in it all the time, playing, gambling every single day, thinking about poker, studying poker, put me in the videos, all this stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, you don't get to gamble today. You know, you have to. I'm not sure if I'm an addicted gambler per se, because I don't like to go out and do things that are negative EV. Like, I never feel any temptation to go sit down at a slot machine or a craps table or a blackjack table. I actually don't enjoy it. I feel kind of like ill when I'm there in a way. Like, my brain is sort of like revolting, like, no, please, you're losing money, stop. Whereas when I play poker or I do daily fantasy sports or I make a sports bet where I think I have an edge, I just feed on it, man. I love the feeling of gambling on those kind of things. I guess the challenge of trying to beat the field or trying to beat the house or whatever it is. So I can't wait to get back to the action tomorrow, even though I have been enjoying the last few days here in the booth, and I always have a good time with Vince. He's super easy to work with and to hang and talk with during these long days. But yeah, I'm ready to get back in it on the win. And I'm trying to think, the Venetian WPT is coming up after that, and they have a lot of preliminary events going on at Venetian, so we will mix live poker and online poker like we did the last few weeks, continue to collect the hands that I think are most interesting and put them into a replayer and do some analysis. Besides the last few days, I've been studying really hard. I would say about 90 minutes up to maybe 2 hours a day most days of the week, sending a lot of hands to my friend Mike Watson, so I'm starting to feel sharp. You know, poker is one of those things where I think you can get so good, and then after that, it kind of depends on how into and absorbed within the game are you. Like, how much of your time and your mental energy are you spending thinking about poker and studying spots and, you know, double-checking those shoving ranges and all those little things. And then also making sure you have the reservoir of patience needed to play well when you actually sit down at the table. So I'm feeling really good after working the last few days and, like, wanting to get on the table. It's time to go. Plus, we got March Madness, and then in early April, I will fly to South Florida for our Seminole Hard Rock WPT and all the preliminary events there. Really love the tournaments that they have down there. Tony Burns, who is the tournament director, is great at communicating with the players, putting on events with guarantees, making sure the property has everything that we need. So every single spring, I always try and, you know, get down there, and I do my, like, cutting face to get ready for Florida and in summer and everything. So I can't say it's been the most, you know, interesting life lately. I just play tons of poker and, like, cut weight and lift weights sometimes, so I don't have a lot of stories in terms of, like, the social and dating life for you guys, but there's going to be a lot of gambling, and we'll get to talk some strategy soon. So today we're about to get into it. I've got a green screen session coming up, and then we're going to start to do our introductions and yada yada, so I'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.